all over the world, people are turning against each other. Feminism versus masculinism, pro-immigration against anti-immigration. Here in America, it's MAGA versus woke. MAGA means Make America Great Again. Woke means to be awake to social injustice and have social activism to change society. Woke is associated with the Democratic Party, and MAGA is the Republican Party under Donald Trump. Mr. Trump's got to be the most polarizing politician in the recent history of the USA. His supporters idolize him as God's gift to America, the best thing that ever happened to America, who can do no wrong. Well, that might be changing a bit. But definitely his detractors don't like him at all. They loathe him as the worst thing that ever happened to America. That's not surprising because Trump is committedly anti-woke. He's rolled back many of the gains of the woke movement brought in by the previous administration under Biden. Both sides, MAGA and woke, they accuse the other of violating the principle of freedom, which is considered practically sacred, enshrined in the American way of life. Freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Presumably, the Founding Fathers thought that these freedoms would be exercised along with an unspoken but shared understanding of morality, decency, proper behavior. But outlooks have changed. It's almost 250 years since the founding of the USA, and much which was then considered acceptable, proper, normal, is now totally unacceptable. Just like slavery. That was what America was built on, practically. The abolition of slavery, gradually granting equal rights to blacks. Things have changed. There's been the feminist movement, which gave equal voting rights to women, and still goes on pushing for equality of women with men in all respects, equality or more than equality. How far the limits of freedom can be pushed has been tested by the woke movement, which seeks to radically redefine standards of morality in the name of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, which means pushing for affirmative actions so that groups discriminated against, such as blacks, still, LGBTQ+, lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgenders, queers, and more. Yeah, woke means pushing for these minority groups who are discriminated against to have their rights. So wokeism pushes for social justice, which sounds good, but it can go too far. For instance, wokeism embraces toxic radical feminism, which is poisoning society by turning women and men against each other. Wokeism promotes what they call the rights of transgenders to what they call gender-affirming health care, which means sex change therapy. And the woke agenda has instituted in schools by the force of law, teaching children that you are not boys and girls. Forget the things between your legs, the sexual organs you were born with, because gender is a social construct. My dear boys and girls, whoops, not boys and girls, my dear children, if you don't like what nature gave you, change it. Which means that young, innocent, impressionable children are encouraged to have non-reversible sex change operations. Opponents to this are horrified. It should be a no-brainer where Vaishnavas stand on this issue. Wokers not only push for the freedom to propagate and practice their agenda, but they vigorously attempt to stop attempts to stop their agenda, which goes against freedom. We should have the freedom to propagate our doctrine, but others shouldn't have the freedom to oppose it. So that militates against all-around freedom. As I said, this is testing America's commitment to freedom by testing the limits of how far freedom can be pushed. Does it go as far as the freedom, the right to tell children to have sex change operations? For instance, another major issue is abortion. Wokers say women should have the freedom to control their bodies. Opponents say freedom doesn't mean freedom to kill a child in the womb. And then the question arises of when, after impregnation, does childhood begin? Wokeism seeks to reshape all aspects of society to enforce political correctness. What children are taught in school, attitudes towards gender, sex, and family, and even the way we talk. You can't say he or she, you have to say they. Wokeism changes the name of streets, institutions, buildings, changing everything they don't like, which is a lot. Okay, what about MAGA? Make America Great Again. Obviously, it's ribald nationalism, but apart from that, MAGA is a reaction to woke. It's committedly anti-woke. Neither MAGA or woke are clearly defined, but clearly they are very different, totally contrasted, and clearly they don't like each other. They're in total opposition to each other. Woke is identified with the far left and MAGA with the far right. Centrist politics, gone. MAGA people call wokeism neo-Marxism, communism. And the woke people say that MAGA is a new kind of fascism. Whew. It's pretty intense. It's something like the pre-World War II period in Europe, when communists and fascists stood against each other. The history is complicated, but it ended up in the Second World War. Communists and fascists were viscerally divided against each other, just like MAGA and woke today. The antipathy between the camps is so deep and unrelenting. It's ever increasing. It's tearing apart the very fabric of the nation that prided itself as being the greatest on earth. That's why they call it MAGA, Make America Great Again, which is an admission that America is sliding from the values that made it great, or what they thought was great, the ability to dominate and exploit weaker nations. The mass media is divided. If you want the MAGA narrative, go to Fox News. For the woke narrative, go to CNN or something similar like the BBC. Even AI seems to be woke. If you ask questions, you get wokish answers. And Wikipedia, sold out to woke. Where do we, as aspiring devotees of Krishna, stand on all this? MAGA is seen as conservative, and Srila Prabhupada insisted that he was liberal, not conservative, and that's certainly true with respect to traditional Vedic values and Indian society. But in terms of contemporary Western society, Srila Prabhupada would surely be classified as conservative. He opposed divorce, abortion, contraception, women's independence, mass education, democracy, and much more. However, ISKCON today seems pretty woke, especially in attitudes toward gender roles and family values. There's affirmative action for making women leaders, which Srila Prabhupada was opposed to on principle. And in ISKCON today, divorce and remarriage is considered practically normal, just like in secular society. Should we lean more toward the permissiveness of woke or the conservatism, the reactionism of MAGA? Factually, Krishna's Vedic Varnashram culture, and especially Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, have nothing to do with any of these Western political ideologies, whether liberalism, conservatism, fascism, communism, MAGAism, wokeism. Can't we see some good in woke and MAGA? Both seem to have some plus points. Wokeism opposes wrongly discriminating against others. That sounds pretty good. MAGA promotes belief in God and family values. However, the religion that MAGA promotes is largely Christian and Jewish, and particularly the type of fundamentalist Christianity, which sees other religious expressions, including Hinduism and Krishna consciousness, as the work of Satan. Neither woke nor MAGA has a clear understanding of what illicit sex is and how it is sinful, although on that issue MAGA does better than woke. Neither side is opposed to mass torture and slaughter of animals. Whatever woke and MAGA are fighting over, from the ultimate perspective, their fighting is all meaningless, because this way or that, they're all in Maya. Some good can be seen in both of them at some level, But there's also a lot of dangerous nonsense in both of them. They're both based on ignorance of the reality of our being eternal spiritual beings, not American or black or male or female or transgender or right-wing or left-wing or Christian or Hindu or Buddhist. Because both MAGA and woke are anchored in the bodily concept of life, neither can give proper direction for how to live in this world. Being in the bodily concept of life, both promote the concepts of friends and enemies, us and them, both give rise to hatred. Neither have a clear idea of what should be done and what should not be done. Pravriting cha nivriting cha janana vidur asuraha. In the Bhagavad-gita, Lord Krishna says that persons who do not know what should be done and what should not be done are asuras, demons. Promoting American nationalism or any nationalism is animalism. It's one group or one tribe against another, us against you. If you ask me which one would you take if you had to choose between one or the other, I'd say it's like a choice between being bitten by a mamba or a cobra, wet stool or dry stool. Prahlad Maharaj said, "The real problem of life is the repetition of birth and death, which is like a wheel rolling repeatedly up and down. This wheel, however, completely stops when one is in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So don't get dragged into mundane political ideologies. Stick to Krishna consciousness, understand Bhagavad-gita as it is, and make your life successful. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.